Earlier last year, I recall the anime analysis community got into a surprisingly large debate over the already divisive Erased in regards as to whether the show was a mystery or solely a thriller. While I think this was largely an apologetic effort, considering I'd never seen the idea pop up before complaints of the lackluster reveal swelled,
ミステリー漫画の傑作、待望の映画化。
I think the question of whether or not genre can determine if a piece of art not accomplishing something is bad to be an interesting one. For me, the fact that so many people felt they were supposed to be surprised by the killer's reveal matters more than how much of a mystery the show as a whole is. The elements of misdirection left in and exposition left out to make an audience want to know the truth to a situation are to me what makes a mystery, not how the characters act or feel. A bullet to the head can be sad, awesome, or funny depending on how it is presented in relation to the other parts of a story, regardless of how the characters feel about it themselves.
You shot Church, you team-killing fucktard?
So let me pose a far more radical genre label. Hibike Euphonium Season 2 is as much a mystery show as a drama. Perhaps more. I thought the show's first season did a good job with presenting interpersonal drama, and a great one in its second half. And while most felt about the same through the newer episodes, I was let down by the flatness with which my emotions ran over the course of the show. And I think this is all about secrets. Not what characters keep from each other, as that can be interpersonal drama itself, but what the author keeps from the audience. There is of course tension when Asuka speaks in uncertain or suspicious ways to Kumiko. We feel solidarity with her frustrations and want to see how their relationship is affected. However, due to the shared lack of knowledge, the audience's mind is split between the emotional view of the scene and an intellectual craving to know whether Asuka is telling the truth, a half-truth, or flat-out lying. For me, my split gave far more to the latter. This is because in these scenes, I feel too much solidarity with Kumiko. I've followed her development more closely, I know her to be largely honest, and going into the scenes she shares with Asuka, I largely know her intentions. Asuka, though, works outside my perspective, and what I do know of her leads me to believe her to be deceitful and someone who will do anything to avoid trouble for themselves. The emotional response is easy to make. I side with Kumiko because to believe her at fault would be to believe the series comically misleading, and I don't side with Asuka because either she's lying about her intent or she's poorly communicated this intent to those around her. When the judgment of fault is that simple, I'm left with more room to care about the mystery. Compare this to last season's conflict over who will perform the trumpet solo in competition. There, the mystery element was whisked away, with Taki quickly confessing to knowing Reina before his work at Gitauji High School. The drama, however, is beautifully elongated. Both sides of the argument are easy to see, and whether you believe it more important for Haruka to get a special spotlight for her last chance to perform, or for Reina to plow ahead on her likely career-starting path, the shifting pros and cons of each side keep you weighing the judgment of the characters and yourself. The tension is further stretched since all of the characters are woven into the conflict in elegant fashion, with a good few remaining strung along across the entire plotline. The shift from outward conflict to the realm of secrets and two-facedness isn't an inherent problem. After all, the most respected character drama of all time starts by presenting a mystery. So in this case, does the increased focus on unclarity sharpen the viewing experience? Is a compelling mystery created? Or is the cost of detracting from the drama unjustified? To explore the specific type of mystery Hibike is creating, let's turn a bit to American TV drama. Whereas anime largely starts with the ending planned in advance, with most money being made off of merchandise and disc sales, American television is usually designed to continue for as many seasons as it can until being cancelled. The ultimate goal of most shows is to reach the 100 episodes required to have reruns aired even after new episodes are no longer being created. This format has led to two major TV structures. Episodic television is designed to be skippable from episode to episode, increasing a show's viability once it's in syndication. For shows with a more linear plot, though, techniques have been designed to keep viewers watching. AMC have in recent years shown to be the king of creating this retention. By splitting their seasons into 2 parts, they create more chances for Emmy nominations, double the finale and debut viewership bumps, and decrease the time people have to forget about the shows while off air. And while on air, mystery is liberally applied to every type of show. Humans are curious, and when we're clued into something we don't know about and are hinted that by continuing to watch we'll learn the answers, we do. En masse. In these scenes from Fear the Walking Dead, a simple argument is used as a Trojan horse to introduce many little question marks in the viewer's mind.
We'll be warmer in Mexico.
What does that mean?
Our Capitan has a destination. He has from the start. I found some charts, a map for a location in Baja.
What the hell's in Baja?
Perhaps you should ask him.
Why didn't you?
I think that conversation would not end well.
Mexico? Where the hell are you taking us?
For a location in Baja.
Why don't we start by telling me who's meddling in my business? Perhaps our Latin friend?
Where are we going?
For a location in Baja.
I saved Nick from that death camp.
And then we saved you, Victor,
I
remember?
welcome you into my home.
Who got you to your home?
I give you and your family safe passage on my boat. And you still don't trust me. Are we not friends?
Are we going to Mexico?
For a location in Baja.
Please. In Baja, California, there's a town called Rosarito. Southeast of this town, there are hills. And in those hills stands a house. I have precious little time to get there. It is the only safe place, the only sound plan.
You said San Diego was safe.
No longer on the itinerary.
Why lie?
San Diego's dead.
Military burned it down. Why? Why, you gonna abandon us?
How could I abandon 7 people at once?
We have to go back to get this done.
Good.
Good. And Victor, you even look wrong at anyone in my family, I will throw you overboard.
You're not a killer.
The sentences of this and many other sequences of American TV are concluded by question marks far out of usual proportion. Even when there isn't a direct question, many actions and offhand comments further the interrogative mood of the shows. These mysteries come in variety. Some are significant to the plot, while others serve primarily for the atmosphere of doubt. Some are answered right away.
Where are we going?
And others aren't solved until episodes later. What exactly is in Baja? Why is Victor so secretive about it? Doesn't his description sound a bit too good to be true? All of the variety in the mass and length of these mysteries serves to add to the addictive quality of the show, in the same way that randomized power-ups make roguelike games so consumingly consumable. A very effective way to get people to keep watching a show, but how does it affect the experience while they watch it? The first thing to note is that the structure of this style of mystery is an inverse of the typical format of the genre. In almost any episode of a classic detective show, a crime has been committed and our protagonist must discover who did it. Conversely, here we know who's being dishonest, Victor, and the mystery is just what exactly he's being dishonest about. This poses a few problems for any writer trying to craft a good mystery. On a character level, excuses need to be constantly made for why characters deal with each other's deceitfulness, especially in a show as open to violence as Fear the Walking Dead. It also necessitates keeping the persistent distrust engaging or mixing it complementarily with other conflicts. The intrigue of a mystery also becomes harder to pull off. Since there are less potential culprits of a crime introduced in a show than there are options for what a character is hiding in any number of the possibly dozens of secrets locked within them, it becomes much harder to adequately give clues for the audience to weigh. Because so many of these enigmas lean towards the end in their exposition, the solutions are often merely reveals rather than classic aha moments. When an audience member is expecting a reveal, it becomes very hard for any answer to be satisfying. The longer these mysteries are built up, the more unimpressed viewers are with the reveal. Oh, there are flying tacos in Baja? Whatever. Looking back to Euphonium, let's see how many of these writing potholes it's caught off guard by. Unfortunately, in the first arc, all of them. Nozomi, who quit the band due to its lack of focus on performing well in competition, now wants to rejoin. Desiring the okay from Asuka, the only person who, limply, tried to stop her, she finds her re-entry shot down. Asuka explains to our lead, now relegated to a mediator, that important oboe Mizore hates Nozomi, and it would ruin the band's chances at the finals if she were to be upset. This is revealed to be untrue, meaning that Asuka was either making some pretty big assumptions or, as is expected with her, lying. The concern with Mizore is warranted given her playing and her personality are robotic and collected, not quite enough passion for a solo. Unfortunately, the specific of why she's not at her full potential served to distract from the actual conflict between her and Nozomi, not hint towards it. In a scene that so subtly and directly displays her passionless attitude towards music, it makes her dry delivery and stiff movement seem redundant and patronizing in explaining her performance. We see her asking Kumiko to turn off a piece that she hates and playing her own rhythm game with the volume turned off. We are led to believe that for her, music is all about hitting the right notes, and the sound that comes out is unimportant to her. This interpretation is later called into question. Mizore explains to Kumiko that Nozomi was her first real friend. She'd introduced her to band and caused her distress when she quit band without telling her. Now Mizore's playing serves only to make her feel close to her lost friend. Yuko calls her out on this, saying that now she's her friend, but Mizore thinks she does it out of pity for her, and Nozomi definitely didn't. Yuko also insists that her investment in the band must be as strong as the one she feels. Whether Mizore plays for Nozomi or for the band, it seems to contradict her issue with lifeless playing. If instead she was giving a sad or angry performance to a triumphant solo, it would lead better into the actual issues concerning her, instead of making two seemingly separate issues converge in their conclusions. At the same time, it would add as much depth to the audience's interest and concern for Mizore as it would to her solo's tone. 3 minutes after Mizore's exposition, Nozomi walks in, and their conflict is resolved instantly. For me, Mizore's outburst was the first thing to get me invested in the problem. I finally felt like I understood the characters and their issues enough to root for them to fix them. To have it function as a reveal which solves the problem is then supremely disappointing. I feel as if the show's wasted 3 episodes of time and only squeezed 3 good minutes of drama out of it. Compare this again to last season's solo debacle. We understand all of the sides' stances from the beginning, and when Yuko explains Haruka's disappointing history with the solo, it doesn't feel like an explanation of why I should care, but instead an increase in stakes. And now that the audience is made to be even more engaged than before in the conflict, it doesn't end immediately. There's half an episode before we know who will be playing the solo in the competition. Alongside this, it changes the relationship Yuko holds with Reina, making her guilt instead of attack Reina into giving up her position. By contrast, the major players of the more recent arc remain static in their feelings and their method of dealing with them until the end. Meanwhile, Kumiko, whose own issues the audience is more interested in seeing at this point, runs around trying to solve other people's problems, while she and the audience are still unsure as to what exactly they are. And after following her detective escapades, the answer is revealed regardless of her effort. If Yuko had first found Mizore, nothing would have changed. The next piece works out better than that one. Asuka is a character we've seen enough of to be invested in, and physical abuse is always a good way to get an audience emotionally charged. And it's paired alongside Kumiko's sisters dropping out of college, the one part of the season I appreciate fully. That's not to say there are no problems with the arc. The band's reaction to the slap is blunted by being boringly exposited by Kumiko's obnoxious narration, a problem highlighted by this post by Annie-blogger Jeko. Meanwhile, Asuka pops in and out of the story in fashion far more surprising for the characters than the viewers. These on and off again appearances serve less to make me nervous about what exactly her relationship with her mom is and whether she'll rejoin the band for competition, as they do make me mad the author won't just settle for something and let it play out. Kumiko once again meets with Asuka and begins to investigate after some small talk. Alongside the previously referenced finals and grades, Asuka's mother's distaste for her ex-husband, a competition judge, comes up as a potential basis for her absence from the band. She is permitted to rejoin after scoring in the top 30 nationally in practice entrance exam. Top 30? She's also later revealed to be the valedictorian of her graduating year. Top 30. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible for a parent to expect their child to be one of the top students in the nation, especially in a country with as intense work ethic as Japan, but when I'm shown so little of this relationship, I begin to question things. Why is Asuka, who despite any level of prodigy must have been worked to death, able to maintain such a flippant and crass personality? Why was such a controlling mother shocked at her ability to slap her child? Why am I not being shown this relationship instead of Asuka's guest appearances in the band? The strict adherence to Kumiko's perspective really shows its weakness here. Surely the mental abuse of absurd academic expectations is more interesting than the band's now routine uneasiness with the shakeup, especially since the band-centric parts of the show are so blandly exposited. That's the issue with this season. The arcs are hidden from view, while the overarching stories conflicts, instead of being actually explored, are casually explained away. There are, of course, many who appreciate the deceitful aspect of Hibike. Pedantic Romantic made an entire video praising the characters' lies and conflicting motives as making them especially human in nature. The issue I have with this interpretation of the writing is that a character's motives and actions are not their character. They can be influenced by it, and vice versa, but I've already explained the way Mizure's and Asuka's behavior betrays their circumstances. When actually looking at their characterization, the two are as flat and exaggerated as most anime characters. Mizure acts like a robot up until the climax of her story, while Asuka switches between a reverent prankster and conflict-adverse puppeteer like a light bulb. The character's deception of themselves and others adds less to our perception of their overall character than the specific scenario of the story. Without a rich narrative to back them, though, these lies become fluff, and sadly, Hibike Season 2's plot's been locked up. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, subscribe, maybe you'll see more. If you didn't like it, I don't know, tell me in the comments so I'm a big dummy, and then maybe I'll respond to you and say, no, actually, you're the big dummy, and maybe one of us will be the wiser for it.
It's basically a way more subtle and effective version of the "this is like something out of an anime" line.
それがすごく嬉しくて。漫画みたいな話ですね。